Joining me now at the Kate Faulkner event, I'm joined by Peter Bolton King, Global Residential Director of RICS. And Peter, it's such a pleasure to be able to welcome you to Property Tribes TV.
Thank you.
And just tell us about your feelings about the importance of Kate's report and tonight's event.
You know, as I said to the audience tonight, what worries me as we move into the general election, there's a real danger that the private rented sector, which everybody agrees is vital, gets drawn into some sort of political football. And the point I made in my little talk tonight was the fact that what's vital is that there is proper research, unbiased research, and more importantly, proper analysis of the situations, whether that be the question of fees, whether it be the question of rental caps or whatever that might be being proposed. You've got to actually sit back and say, right, what is the real effect? Because what worries me is that unless you have that proper debate, there is a real risk that wrong decisions are made, and of course that in turn will lead to less good quality agents, less good quality landlords, which means less supply, which means the consumer, the tenant, gets adversely affected. So the answer to your question, when I get round to that now, is that the report tonight, we absolutely welcome it, because Kate is a highly respected individual who's been in the PRS sector for many, many years, has had a great background of working with which on the consumer. She understands the consumer needs and the consumer sort of thought on this. And what I was pleased to see is an awful lot of recommendations that come out of that report, which I think was a very balanced report, that I personally and the RICS can actually quite happily empathise with and indeed agree with most of them.
Right, and what I thought was so refreshing about Kate's report is that most of the measures that she suggested are actually fairly simple to implement.
Yeah, well, that's why I have to say I can agree with most of them, because she made the point that the PRS sector is not broke, it's not broken, it's not perfect, and there are absolutely things that need to be done to improve the quality of stock, to get rid of, I hate the term, but to get rid of the few rogue landlords, the few rogue agents. But I was pleased to see that she recognised that there's an awful lot of good practice out there. And as you say, get one little thing, the PRS code that was recently released, which was an industry code put together on behalf of the DCLG government department, it's only been out a very short time. On our own website, the RICS website, that's now had over 1,000 downloads. So clearly is a lot of interest in that document. And Kate's suggestion that it should actually be rolled out and almost made statutory, I think is an excellent thing. And simple things like the checklist before you move into a property. So it's education as well.
No, I totally subscribe to that. And, awareness for both landlords and tenants and education is absolutely vital, because prevention is and finding the right landlord and agent to rent through, that's far better than hearing these horror stories of tenants going to rogue landlords and agents.
Oh gosh, look, we carried out, the RICS got some independent research done of 1,000 people who had moved in rental for recently. This is about 2 years ago. And absolutely, I went white when I started reading the results of that, because the lack of understanding on both the tenant side on their basic rights, but also the landlords as to what they need to do, was really, really worrying. And as you quite correctly say, for my sins, I've also appeared on enough television programmes where there's been a secret reporter looking at some of these, and there's appalling situations out there. And of course, you always hear the worst case scenarios, but the fact is, at the end of the day, more work needs to be done to drive a really professional PRS sector forward, which is what we all want. And I think a lot of Kate's recommendations, as you say, were fairly simple, but really, really good things that I think could be put into practice without a massive amount of effort and without a massive amount of cost to anybody.
I quite agree. And just to finish, Peter, I would say that another very valuable outcome of tonight's event is to show that we, as a community, we care. and we want standards to improve. And us all coming together here and supporting Kate's report, I think, is such a positive thing for the entire industry.
Do you know what came across tonight? Kate said it, others have said it, I always feel this. It is ridiculous to think as though there are two sides to this, that there's landlords, there's tenants, and there's those nasty lettings agents as well, and I get accused of. But at the end of the day, the good quality people out there, who are the vast majority, we want one thing. We all want a better PRS. And as you say, it's great tonight that we've seen a lot of people coming together, all wanting the same thing.
Well, Peter, thank you very much for taking part on Property Tribes TV. It's so great to have your input, and we really appreciate you talking to us this evening.
It's a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you.